Hello and welcome to Friday Flow. I'm Pam Reid, author of New Lenses and founder of Flow, Feel Love Over Words. Thank you for joining us this evening, kicking off our weekend together, and it's a Mother's Day weekend at that. As always, I'm hoping that we'll hear something, we'll see something, or experience something that will not only prick our hearts, but hopefully lend itself to a new set of lenses with just the right prescription so that we can see our world and the people in it differently. As always, please let us know that you're here. Feel free to comment, ask questions. I want to share with you that this week was very interesting in that I was triggered this week. And if you know anything about being triggered, you know that something that you see, something that you hear, something that you smell or experience can trigger a thought, which subsequently can trigger an emotion. And whenever you think about a trigger, you hear someone say, I was triggered, it's not typically that they're triggered by something that's positive or something pleasant. It's usually something negative, it's something painful, it's some past experience that was traumatic and very, very painful. Well, this was no different for me. It was something I saw, and it triggered a memory, which triggered an emotion, and that emotion was painful. And that emotion had everything to do with a betrayal. And I know that sometimes when you hear the word betrayal, you automatically think about, a couple and some extramarital affair or something like that. But betrayal just is not just about married couples or lovers or significant others. Betrayal, the lies, the manipulation, the just the negativity. Um, it also exists in friendships. It exists at work with colleagues. There's betrayal when it comes to business partners. There's all kinds of betrayals. And regardless of the relationship, regardless of the dynamics, betrayal hurts. It's incredibly painful. It cuts deep. It's devastating. And betrayal can destroy a relationship, can destroy a relationship. It doesn't always, but it can. And so I knew the minute that I was triggered, I knew what to do only because I've been doing it for a couple of years now. And that is, I mean, the minute I was triggered, I went right back to that moment as if it had just happened and I was feeling it. And so I knew I needed to flow. I knew I needed to flow. I needed to feel love over wrongdoing, right? And sometimes it's not just about the wrongdoing that someone does to you. It's about maybe the wrongdoing I've done to someone, sometimes unintentionally. But either way, I knew I needed to do something. And that for me is saturation. And I shared that with you back on April 10th, right? That when I need to flow, I saturate myself with scripture. And so the scripture that I was intentional about focusing on was Ezekiel 36:26. And you got to hear this. I just love it. It says, I will give you a new heart. I will put in you a new spirit. I will take out the stony, stubborn heart and put in a tender, responsive heart. I love that. I love that because it just grounds me and it reminds me that that's the kind of heart I want. I want a tender, responsive heart because a tender, responsive heart, it responds in kindness and gentleness and love. And I love the idea that he will remove the stony, stubborn heart, right? Because when we feel betrayed, it's so easy to acquire a bitter heart, a heart with resentment, that stony, stubborn heart. And I don't want that. I want that tender, responsive heart. And so just being able to flow in that capacity has been absolutely wonderful for me this week. And it just creates the perfect segue into me introducing our guest for this week. And so I'm introducing to you a gentleman who is a friend of mine, who is someone who I've known for many, many years, and someone who I just think is just one of the most wonderful humans there are. And so please join me in welcoming someone who has not only dealt with betrayal, but is today still dealing with the aftermath of it. So join me in welcoming Mr. Todd Taylor. Hey Todd, how are you?
Hello. How you doing, Pam?
I'm
Thank you for having me on Friday Flow.
Oh, well, you are welcome. Thank you, Todd. I mean, we've got some folks in the house. We've got Mark in New York. We've got Karen, Frankie. We've got Nani and Michelle, and we've got a host of people. Hey, Fifi and Joyce, and it's just a wonderful group of people who are here with us today.
Yes.
And
Let's get
Todd,
them to share too. Share on your Facebook.
yeah, share. Right. Please feel free to share. Feel free to comment and ask questions for us this afternoon. And Todd, I just am really thankful that you're here because I know that you have
Thank you.
shared your testimony on different platforms, on stages, and even on television. And so that's exciting. You're making a difference in people's lives. And given all that, you're here with us this afternoon. Thank you so much. I want to get right to it. You know, so with extramarital affairs, with marital indiscretions, and just all those things that can be devastating to a relationship, can we just start a little bit with you just sharing a little bit about that with us right now?
Most definitely. But first, let me touch on what you said because you just kicked the door wide open with your introduction. Because you mentioned triggers and you mentioned betrayal, and I just say with the betrayal real quick, touch on that real quick because the triggers is much more deeper than the betrayal because they tie right into each other. But with the betrayal, as you said, there's so many different types of betrayal, and I look at the betrayal as offenses. Minor offenses or major offenses. And when you look at infidelity in a relationship, that falls underneath a major offense. But
Mm,
the trigger part, I definitely want to talk about because that is one of the hardest things to overcome in the recovery process when infidelity is discovered.
wow.
Yeah, because they can be factual, they can be real, concrete triggers, or they can be imaginary thoughts to where nothing is actually taking place. But because of the trauma associated with the infidelity, our mind is extremely powerful and could take us places where we don't even want to go. We don't plan to go there. We don't want to go there. But the next thing you know, we're sitting and pondering and manifesting something up that is not even factual. So
Wow.
it's yeah, it's
Wow.
very hard, and I call it trigger management. You have to
Okay.
have trigger management in
Okay.
order to be able to get yourself back into a healthy state of mind, into a healthy place where you can
Okay.
start to navigate through the healing process.
Okay. Well, let's go
But
back and let's give our viewers a little bit of a foundation. Tell us,
mm-hmm.
how. Tell us a little bit about the betrayal and the infidelity and how that all kind of came about, and if you wouldn't mind, just share with us your part in that.
Well, here's a quick snapshot of who I am, and one thing I never saw myself being is being a adulterous husband. Even when I got married, I had no plans on cheating. That was the furthest thing that anybody could have said. Oh yeah, you're going to be unfaithful to your wife and you're going to cheat on her. No way in the world you would have convinced me of that. But what I found out in due time is that the brokenness that I was not aware of was in, and it manifested over time as I was, going on in my relationship. I brought the infidelity in the door into our relationship first, and I think we grew to a point to where we actually started to use infidelity as a tool to either lash out at each other or as a cry for help.
Mm,
And we had to deal with not just a infidelity, but multiple infidelities, repeat offenders. Now, where infidelity is taking place on both sides of the relationship. And sometimes people will look at that and they go, oh, well, that's pretty much easier to deal with because you did it and you did it. But in all actuality, think of two hurt people in the supermarket. Let's get this analogy going. Think of two broken people with broken legs in the supermarket trying to go and pick stuff up off the shelf, trying to reach up high. You're in the wheelchair. I'm in the wheelchair. I can't get it. You can't get it. We're both broken and hurt. We're both broken, hurt, and lost. So how do we help each other? And unfortunately, another thing that people do not want to contend with in the infidelity when the infidelity takes place is that sometimes, a great deal of the times, the hurt person actually ends up helping the offender get to a better place.
How is
A lot
that,
of people don't know.
Todd?
Oh, because if you have, if I'm the offender and I'm standing in front of you and now I have remorse, I want to rectify my wrongs. I want to be a better man, a better husband, and I'm hurt. And now I may need that person because I'm hurting. And I may be condemning myself. I may need that person now to pick me up and help me.
But Todd,
And
I have to interject there. I can't
mhm.
imagine that that's an easy thing to do
Oh no, oh
because
no,
the person who is feeling as the victim, right? They've
yes,
been betrayed, they've been lied to, they've been cheated on.
yes.
Now you're telling me that there's an expectation that on top of being hurt and lied to and all that, that they are supposed to rise up and then help the person who's hurt them. How
Now it's not all the time. Like for instance, I'll give you a good example of what happened with us. There was an infidelity that took place on my wife's side. Right now, I had to dig in deep, and I had to acknowledge what part did I play in her straying. What part did I play? Okay, I cut down the intimacy, physical, emotional intimacy, communication, touch. Her glass was getting empty. I wasn't watering her. I wasn't filling it back up. I may as well had dressed her up, took her shopping, got her hair and her nails done and everything looking all fine, and pushed her out the door. What did I expect could possibly happen? Especially Pam, what I know, we have the ability to go. We have the ability to run that way. That's our escape. What did I expect could possibly happen? So now here it is. I have this woman standing in front of me. This hurt. She's hurt because again she let herself go in a direction that she knows she should not have went in. And on top of that, she knows she has a man that for the past 10 years did everything he possibly could to right his wrong. Cook her dinner, give her baths, rub her feet, make her coffee, take care of the kids. And boom, you went this route. She's hurting now.
so
I may have to see.
yeah. So now
I may have to now.
there's some healing that needs to take place, right?
Yes, this healing needs to take place. I may have to take my pride, throw it behind me, and help her. Let her know that it's okay. Let her know that we're human. Let her know that our flesh is weak. Sometimes the spirit is willing, but our flesh is weak. We're a people. And let her know that, you know what, there's forgiveness here for you. There's mercy here for you. Right? We ask God for mercy all the time, right? Oh God, forgive me. Give me mercy. Oh God, please mercy. But what about when somebody offends us? Do we want to give mercy now?
Right,
Do we
right,
want to give forgiveness now?
right, right. So let me ask you this. So betrayal on both sides, multiple betrayals, yet you're still together. So someone
32
on
years.
how many years?
32 years.
32 years still together. So you know that there's this underlying love there that you know that you want to be together, but you want to be together in a healthy way. So the path
Yes.
to healing, the effort that it would take to regain trust again had to be overwhelming.
Yes.
What was that process like?
Well, you know what? I can't speak for Alicia, but I can speak for me. When I finally committed into the relationship, into the marriage, I'm going 13 years, 14 years into marriage now, to where I'm finally like, smack. Hey, this is serious and you need to be a man. Stop being a boy. Because that's the root of a good part of it is being an immature child, being a boy in a man's body. That's part of it. So as I committed into the relationship and I knew I had to rebuild and that trust was going to have to be put back there, I knew, Pam, and thank God I found God at this time because I was godless. I chase you around the apartment and debate with you to the end of times. But I thank God that I had God because at one time I didn't trust in myself, right? So I had to turn that over to God and let Him do His work on me. At one time I didn't trust my wife, so I didn't put my trust in her. I put my trust in God that He would guide her. If this is the real woman coming in front of me with remorse and wants to make things right and wants to make change, then I'm trusting in God that He's gonna, like you said, soften that heart, have that
Mm,
loving heart, have that kind
mm,
heart, have
mm,
that heart of forgiveness and remorse.
mm, mm.
That's how I was able to move and navigate. Because if I left it up to Todd was gonna jack it up. Trust me, because we've been there. We did it with God and we tried it without God. We did it with God, and then by the time we take God back out, we right back in the pit again. So
So what you're saying is every time you took God out of the process
equation.
or the effort, right? The relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you went back into sin. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You know what? Not just back into sin, but back into us. You know what I mean? Because we're rotten, and our flesh is rotten. We know that, and we know we're not perfect beings. So every time we took God out of the equation, what did we have to depend on? Our self intellect, whatever we're feeling, our emotions. Now remember, we're hurt. We've been hurt and scarred multiple times. So what kind of good emotions do we have flowing through us? We may not have good positive emotions to stand by to make great lifelong decisions, because that's what they tell you: do not make life altering decisions in an emotional state.
Wow.
So
So here's the thing. You're right. But don't you think, Todd, that yes, so you got God in the process. You two broken people. Yes, I want to celebrate, and we've got Peggy saying yes, 32 years, right? D- don't you feel like both parties have to be willing? Both parties have to be. What happens when both parties aren't willing at the same time?
then the other party has to stand on faith. The other party has to stand firm and trust in God. See, when people are married, they have a benefit over single people that are shacking up. We have a benefit
What
because now we are in the covenant of God, and God is the cornerstone. It's the three of us in here, right? So now, when people are single, they don't have that covenant like this. So when I'm praying for my wife, matter of fact, let's reverse that because Alicia took her leap forward first. You remember? So now Alicia was praying for me, but Tar was acting the fool. But God is still respecting the covenant. So she's basically partitioning God on my behalf, just like a power of attorney. So God can acknowledge that and say, yeah, okay, I could take that prayer for your husband. But for the single person, God's like, the Holy Spirit is a gentleman's spirit, and I'm not forcing myself upon him. No. But you know what? I work with your husband. I'm not going to force myself, but I work with your husband because we all in this together, the three of us. So at times, I blasted forward, and Alicia was like way behind in the spiritual walk. And then there was times she came up on me and passed me. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But we were able to stay firm, trusting God, and everybody's spiritual walk comes in their time. And when you stay consistent, see, and that's the key because there's so many hypocritical Christians, they're not consistent. When you stay consistent, it's a matter of time before your spouse is going to be looking at you and looking at your fruits and saying, okay, let me try that over there. Okay, let me pray with him tonight because he asked me to pray a couple of times and I was like, no, leave me alone. But let me pray with him tonight.
Mm,
Then the next thing you know,
got you. Got you. Okay.
the
Okay.
cornerstone, the
Okay.
cornerstone of God in your marriage is working on your behalf.
Well, some of our guests are suggesting that my voice is a little muffled, so I'm hoping that they can hear me a little bit better. I'll speak a little bit louder. Um, People are just really impressed with your faith and the amount of years that you and Alicia have been together, Todd. So where are you guys now? So you did the back and forth, you did the unevenness, and but I sense that today you feel a little closer to being equally yoked in your commitment to have a healthy marriage where you are able to positively and constructively resolve conflict and your commitment to loving each other and treating each other with the level of respect that you may not have done early on. Where are you today?
Oh, definitely. You know what? My book is titled "The Affair Aftermath." Right. I talk about all of the turbulent times during that aftermath, but also the aftermath doesn't have to be a tumultuous time. Right now we're living in the aftermath of, now we're able to take our testimony, we're able to take our experiences and be transparent and help other people. You know, um, so where we are now is we're still a couple. We're still an everyday couple. You know, I'm not going to come on here and say we don't have no problems. We don't ever have any heated fellowships. We have disagreements. But the thing is that we learned that running and inviting somebody else in is not going to solve the problem. Because people may not have an affair, but they may run to porn. They may not do porn, but they may run to alcohol. They may not take alcohol, but they may run to gambling. So, what is going to be your escape? See, it's not always infidelity. That's why when I talk about healing and forgiveness, it's about healing and forgiveness for major offenses in your marriage.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
people just don't divorce over infidelity. As a matter of fact, people don't even divorce over infidelity. People divorce over what caused the infidelity. So if you don't
Mm,
get to the roots of that infidelity, your marriage is going to be done. Not because
wow.
of the infidelity,
Wow.
it's
Wow.
what caused it.
Well, yeah, it's well, so there's clearly a lot more, Todd, and we're gosh, we're a little past time now, but this is, I mean, it goes so quickly. Um,
Yeah, that was too fast.
no, I
All
know.
right, let's do part two right now. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, I wish we could, but there's two things that I want you to tell our viewers. The first thing is I want you to, if you had one thing that you want them to walk away with today, what would that nugget be that you want them to walk away with today? And then the second thing I want you to tell them is the name of your new book, The Affair Aftermath, and how they can get it.
Yes.
So start with the nugget.
Okay. First of all, I don't have one nugget. I got a lot, so we need to extend the time. No. The one of the things that I stress, Pam, and I stress it. If I'm on stage, if I'm in a service, whatever, I stress it. Be careful of who you talk to about your marital information. Be careful in who you confide in. Be careful of who you trust with that information. Even, listen, people, even if it's your marriage counselor
Mm,
or your pastor, be
mm,
careful, because the enemy has people working in places that you would not imagine. And when they come to you, he's going to
mm,
send you somebody that's going to be pleasing to you. And not
mm,
every marriage counselor believes in marriage. There's a world famous counselor right now that has publicly stated in an interview, marriage is not for me no more. And I'm not going down that route no more. But yet she's counseling people in marriage. Be careful. You got to know your source of information, where it is coming from. Is it detrimental to your marriage?
wow.
That's one of the biggest things that I always share with people.
Wow. Can I just
But
say, I know we've run out of time, but that is just so powerful to me because you're right, Todd. And there are even counselors and therapists that call, that they will tell you, I am not a reconciliation counselor. Like
you
they're not
see, you need to
interested in
know.
that.
You need to
And that
know.
is because they are human and fleshy, right?
They
And
may have just got divorced.
that's right. That's right. So that is so powerful, and thank you for that. So how do people get a copy of the Affair Aftermath?
Amazon.com. It is available on Amazon.com in paperbook format and Kindle format. And I would love to hear back some feedback on Facebook. You could reach me Todd Taylor on Facebook, Todd and Alicia Taylor on Facebook, or at Commitment Keepers. I would love to hear some feedback in regards to the book.
That's so
I think it's
powerful.
very powerful. I did not hold back, and I don't pull no punches, and I
Nope.
did not give a watered down self help marriage book. No,
Mm,
I gave it. How old dirty bastard said, "Oh baby, I like it raw." I gave it to you raw. I gave it to you real. I gave it to you in what really takes place, not what you want to read or what you want to hear. What really takes place. So, like my favorite chapter in the book, Pam, real quick, is what will your affair cost you? And I'm not talking about a monetary cost. What will your affair cost you? What
that's
are you willing
beautiful.
to lose?
Oh,
It's my
Todd.
favorite chapter in that book.
Wow, wow, that is so powerful, Todd. It has been an absolute pleasure having you on. We might have to have some more talking, some more conversation, but I know you pricked some hearts. There's some beautiful comments here, lots of amens. Okay, um,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
Todd,
because people need to know about forgiveness, Pam. The biggest thing is forgiveness.
I know. We have more
It's
talking
hard.
to do, I'm sure. Todd.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we do. Well, I want to thank all of our viewers for being here today. I can't thank Todd enough for all the nuggets that he's given. I hope that for all of you mothers, that you have an amazing and special Mother's Day weekend.
Yes.
And
Happy Mother's Day.
that's right, happy Mother's Day. And I am so hoping that not only will you flow right back here again next Friday, but that you'll tell others and bring them here as well. All right, guys, have a great weekend.
And also come on the Flow Friday and ask for me to come back.
Yeah.
I can share some
Bye,
more.
everyone.